everyone. I am Neysha and I am here with another very exciting episode of Decoded, Understanding the Unseen. And it is beyond understanding the unseen. It is about learning these wonderful holistic practices that will allow you to rise and to heal in your own pace, in your own home, without the need of anyone to guide you through the journey. But to do that, you completely have to understand it. And that's the goal. Today, I am very, very blessed to have here Lora McKnight. Lora is a Vedic meditation teacher. Lora and I met years ago, back in the corporate days. And there's always something about Lora that caught my eye. And now I realize what it was. It was that inner practice, inner guidance that she relied on. And here we are talking about all of these fantastic topics today about Vedic meditation. Laura, thank you so much for being here and thank you for sharing everything that you're going to be sharing and I'm going to be asking you. I appreciate you being here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Vedic meditation. When I hear about Vedic meditation, I hear what my subconscious immediately jumps into this very strict, very regulated and disciplined practice. If you had to decode what is Vedic meditation, how would you describe it?
Very simply, it is a style of meditation that utilizes a mantra.
Oh,
So instead of, and many people, when they think of meditation, they think of mindfulness practices,
yeah.
right? So they might think of, oh, I'm going to focus in on my breath, or I'm going to do a particular type of breathing exercise. I might be doing something on Insight Timer, right? Or, one of the apps. What we do in Vedic meditation is we get our own personalized mantra. And in Sanskrit, mantra means mind vehicle.
Oh, great.
And what the mind vehicle does, what this personalized mantra does, is it is a syllable in Sanskrit that has no intended meaning, and it is a vibrational piece that you're adding into your practice.
That is
And so as you
fantastic.
utilize this mantra, you go very deep into yourself, and you're taught over 4 days, which is part of the Vedic meditation technique, how to utilize this mantra. And you go very deeply into a place of, I would say, least excitation is the best way to describe it.
Mm,
Some would say, you're tapping into that very universal place. It feels incredibly relaxed. It feels very connected to everything around you, and so it's similar to other meditation styles, right? In
yeah,
that you have a practice that you're doing to calm the body and to
yeah,
calm the mind, but the difference is the way in which we do that, right? So we
I love
utilize
it.
this personal mantra. And my tradition comes from India, and so that's where the Vedic piece comes from. The Vedas are Indian wisdom, and aspects of Indian wisdom. And we would say that, this is a practice that anyone can utilize. This isn't something that you need to have, a particular background in. You don't need a particular belief system. You're not needing to, to believe in, in the Hindu mythology. So I have practitioners that are Christians. I have practitioners that are, Jewish, people that are agnostic or, atheist. Anyone can benefit from this style of meditation because it's a vibrational piece that you're adding into your life,
I
and not
cannot
a particular belief system that you're adhering to.
I cannot wait to dig in more into what you can share there, but I guess you presented the perfect segue. I know for a fact that you personally have a lifetime of exposure to many ideas and many practices. What got you introduced to Vedic meditation?
Yes, so I would be a person that you could have called a seeker, right? For the majority of my life. I'm going to be 47 this year. And I've been meditating now for 5 years. It was 5 years on the 21st. And I had tried many different things. I was a person who had tried different types of meditation and chanting. And, if you think of all of the different kinds of esoteric practices a person could look into, I had looked into them. But in 2020, during the height of the pandemic, was having some of the worst anxiety I have ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
And nothing was helping. And it was getting to a point where I had a small child. My daughter now is 7, but she was not yet 2. And I was like, this is not how I want to parent my kid.
Yeah.
And I, work a full-time, job. I am, in the nonprofit space. So, having responsibilities there, having responsibilities as a parent, I was, I was just needing help.
Yeah.
And a friend had found out about this style of meditation, and she said to me, you should really give it a try. Nothing else has ever worked for me. I have ADHD and I've had problems with other types of meditation.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. And so I reached out to the teacher who had lived here at the time. And immediately I just felt like, this is something I have to try. And I would say within the first week, I knew that this was going to change my life and the way that I was relating to stress in my
Wow.
body. It made that much of a difference. And within the first 6 weeks, I was a different person. And that's
Wow.
just really, it's changed a lot over time. But one of the main hallmarks of this practice is an ability for you to release daily stress, and to really uncover who you are underneath all of your daily demands, right? Underneath all of the things that you have to do, that person that's there gets revealed more and more over time as you're practicing. And it's been absolutely life-changing.
That you mentioned there, understand the person that you are underneath your responsibilities can be a full episode completely. But that there is the key to so many things. And I was talking about that this morning with someone else. We put all of these masks one on top of the other because that's how we should show up in life. And
Mhm.
that's the overall expectation, and that's how we have been conditioned since we're babies to show up. And then we don't even realize that these masks are present. We just operate. And the more that we ignore that inner being, the more that we fall into that slippery slope of starting with disengagement, then apathy, and then burnout, and then physical conditions, and so forth. So, this is not only important for the emotional part that you just described for your particular case, which is 100% true. You are actually practically practicing preventive medicine, pretty much, uh,
100%.
for your future conditions. So I love, 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 love what you are saying and your journey towards it. But your journey gets very exciting because you practice all of this meditation, you discover it for your own personal purpose. And then the part that I really want to talk about, which is so amazing, is that this meditation, and you said it at the beginning of this conversation, that your lineage is from India. You get accepted to be a teacher. That's a pretty amazing deal. Tell me more about that.
So, this is a place where it's safe to talk about divine direction,
Oh,
right?
heck yes.
Right? Divine direction and what we would call in the Vedic tradition, we call it charm. So
Okay.
charm is that feeling when you know that there's something that you should be doing and you may or may not know how it's going to get done, right? You may or may not know, you may be sitting at your desk and then it's like all of a sudden you're like, I should be at Trader Joe's and I need to go and get sunflowers. And you're like, that sounds totally unhinged. I'm not going to get up in the middle of my day to go to Trader Joe's and to get sunflowers. But that feeling, right? It's like, I
Yes.
need to go do it. Now, if you
Yeah.
follow that feeling, you're following charm. And when you get there, there may not even be sunflowers at the Trader Joe's, but the Trader Joe's was just to get you out of your seat and get you where you need to be. And maybe you're going to see a friend you hadn't seen in 15 years, and you're going to have a fabulous conversation and connect, and that friend is going to change the trajectory of the next 2 years of your life.
I agree.
That's charm. So I was sitting and I had taken a variety of classes, hundreds of hours of classes in this tradition. And I had been saying to myself, I'm going to eventually go and learn how to teach Vedic meditation. And in end of 2024, it was just like, no, you're going now. I was
Oh
like,
my
but
God.
I was like, no, 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 I don't think so. And it was like, no, you are. And so I, very gradually, I was like, okay, I call it shuffling my feet. I'm gonna shuffle my feet toward this decision and see if it still feels right. And so I applied and I got in,
Wow.
which like hundreds of people apply, and only, we had a group of 19 people in India when I
Wow.
went. I was able to get the time off of work, like without
Wow.
friction, right? It wasn't that there wasn't work there to be done. Term means that there's work, right? There's work for you to do, but there wasn't friction. It was just absolutely easy. It was like, okay, now we'll have the time off of work. Okay, our husband says that's fine. I'll take care of the child while you're gone for 3 months, right? And then all of a sudden, in January of 2025, I'm on a plane for 16 hours to go and live in India for 12 weeks up in the Himalayan mountains
Oh my
and to
God.
learn how to teach in this tradition. And, I did not know what it would entail. I had some idea, but I did not
Yeah.
know what it would entail. And, such a life-changing experience to travel alone, across the world and to be a part of something, you're getting like 4 hours of sleep every night and training
See?
and doing, many hours of yoga and meditation, and spending time with your teacher, your guru, and learning Sanskrit and
Oh
learning
my
how to
God.
do, a beautiful puja ceremony that goes along with being taught Vedic meditation, and many, hours of testing. It's very exacting when you
Wow.
talk about the discipline of it. It's very exacting. And I mean, just a beautiful thought of like, oh, I guess I'm going to go now. And then all of a sudden I was there. And
I love that. I love this story so much.
I just recommend it. I recommend, when you feel it, if you can, and I think more of us can than we'd like to admit,
Oh, heck yeah.
we need to go and do it.
I wanted to talk a little bit about that before I we go back to the actual practice because all of us put the brakes and block a lot of things in our life without even conceptualizing how it might work. And I'm going to give you the perfect example. I even did it this morning. Now, with the years of practice of what I do, obviously I have gotten much, much better, but there's a lot of work to be done. And
Mhm.
morning, I saw my calendar and like, oh my God, I am gonna start hyperventilating. So I went into my meditation and calmed down, and literally the things started unfolding so easily to the point that I even was able to run an errand that I have been postponing for weeks. But the idea behind this example, behind what you just shared, is that you do not need to put the brakes, because if it arrives in your being, the tools, the help, the avenues are also going to come to you. And I love the term that you use, which is my favorite term ever. They're going to arrive to you frictionless.
Frictionless flow is what we're looking for. And I think
Awesome.
people, they can mistake this for, it's going to be completely easy. No, no, no. But there's that
No.
space, and I know you know this space, Neysha, where you're working incredibly hard at something that is full of joy, and you
Yes.
lose hours and hours and hours of time because you're in the zone. And that's what we're looking for in our life, right? Is to do, I
Yeah.
think, more of that, because that's the work of our soul. And
I love it.
so through this practice, I have become a person that has been really able, to put things down and be like, I'm going to Trader Joe's and I'm going to go get the sunflowers, right? And then, and then just see what happens and just
Yeah.
trust that there was a reason why I felt compelled. And and to trust my own desire,
I
right?
love
For
it.
things in life.
I love it. And I think we as women, as mothers, add a lot of guilt to the equation. And those words trust my own desires and honor those own desires is so important because you just can show up so much better for your children, for your husband, for your actual job or whatever practice you do. You just, when you honor yourself and put yourself in the same pedestal as everything else that you put in a pedestal in your life, you just show up incredibly better for everything else.
100%.
So, talk me about the practice. What does, if someone engages with you to learn Vedic meditation, what does it entail?
So this is a practice that instead of, engaging with an app on your phone or, utilizing a recorded meditation that you might be doing, this is a practice that you learn the technique upfront in 4 days, not 4 full days, but it is a set time frame where you learn, and it's 90 minutes for each of the 4 days.
Okay.
So it's very accessible. It's not like you're spending a whole weekend, hanging out with me, your teacher, or whoever your teacher would be, but you're
Nothing
committing
wrong with that.
to a long lunch, right? You're committing to a long lunch. And so what you would do is you would connect with me. We would find a time that would work for you. Usually it's a weekend, right? Usually like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And over the 4 days, you're given your mantra and you're taught how to utilize the mantra in the Vedic tradition in the way that we utilize it. And over that time, we're meditating together. You're meditating at home, and you're learning how to utilize the technique. Now, the technique is once you go home after those 4 days, you're a self-sufficient meditator. You don't need to do anything else in the Vedic tradition, right, to continue this practice. You could completely be like, see you later, right? And meditate on your own for the rest of your life, and you would have beautiful outcomes and results. Now, most people want to have conversation with their instructor and they like the group and community aspects of that, which I can touch on in a minute. But from there, you're meditating twice a day, 20 minutes for each of those sessions. Once in the morning, so this would be before you have any caffeine, before you're eating, right? Before you're revving your system up, you're going to meditate. And then once in the late afternoon or early evening, usually before dinner is optimal. But when we say optimal, we're not rigid about that. And the discipline is in the having the meditation and doing it consistently, but it's not like, oh, you need to do it at this time every single day, right? There's a gold standard idea of how we can participate in the practice. And then there's real life, I mean, have I meditated? Don't tell anyone. Have I meditated, with my coffee in my hand? I sure have, right? Right? When I was first getting started, I was definitely like, well, it's better to meditate than to not meditate at all. And I definitely need this coffee to get out of bed and meditate. But getting up and I've heard, a lot of people are like, oh, it sounds so awful to get up 20 minutes early. This type of meditation gives your body incredibly deep, scientifically documented rest. So when you're meditating for 20 minutes, you're getting about 3 times that amount of time's worth of sleep. So 20 minutes of meditation is like an hour of sleep. And so you're really gaining that time back in terms of your energy, in terms of like what you're able to put back into your life. I can't tell you the amount of people I know who, they have that lull in the afternoon and they have that second 20 minutes and they're like, oh, I was able to accomplish so many things in the evening and really be present for my kids and my family and sometimes for my job because I've done, those two pieces, both in the morning and the afternoon.
What would you say to people that say, I do not have 20 minutes or I cannot find 40 minutes during the day?
What I would say is that those people probably should meditate longer. I'm kidding. No, but
Good.
that speaks to a certain type of lifestyle, right? That
Yeah.
speaks to a lifestyle where maybe we have prioritized things that are not necessarily in the interest of our well-being, right? And we can choose what we prioritize. I would say to a person who says that they do not have the time, that as soon as they start meditating and seeing how they feel, they will make the time.
I love it. So the other part that I always tell my kids is that when you are spent typically that point of 3 p.m. that you need that extra cup, do you realize that things that take you 10, 15 minutes will take you up to half an hour or 40 minutes to complete? because your body cannot function at the same
Yes.
pace or so what you're doing is instead of not being efficient, just
Mhm.
removing yourself, do your practice, and then come
Yes.
back with better energy. So it's a wash at the end of the day.
Yes. Just so you know, your voice got a lot quieter. I don't know.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's a little better.
Then thank you for that. Let me actually wonderful. So 4 days, 90 minutes, and then you continue 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. Talk to me. You were mentioning about community. Tell me more about that.
About what?
Community.
Community. Oh, yes. So we have a very vibrant community across the United States, across the world, of Vedic meditators. So there are many teachers, many students. I know people that are in, let's see, Italy, Germany, England, where else? Australia, all across the United States. And so there are many opportunities for group meditation. I offer 2 times during the week where individuals who they could have trained with anyone, around the world, they can come to my group meditations. And one is virtual, one is in person here in Pittsburgh. And so what that looks like is we sit down, we meditate for 20 minutes together. And then if you have to go, you have to get something done. You can just head out. You just say, hey, I'll see you later. And if you want, you can stay for the rest of the hour, which we have as a group knowledge session. So people will bring their questions about things that they've experienced during meditation, right? They're like, I feel like I keep falling asleep. What does that mean? Or, what do I do if I get interrupted? Someone dropped off a package and my dogs started barking. And do I go back to meditation? Do I stop? What do I do? So we answer all of those technique questions. And then, some people really want to know more about the philosophy behind all of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
why does it work? From a Vedic perspective. And so we can dive into that as well. And it's a lovely time for people to get together and to meet others that are interested in these types of practices and to have conversations about what it looks like to prioritize your own nervous system, right? To say, hey, I've been given this one life. I've been given this body, and I want being here to feel good, and I
Yeah.
deserve that. And what does that look like? When you're talking about that with others, and as you're changing that for yourself over time, it's nice to have people who are also working on that and who are also interested in the same things, so that you can have that conversation. And when other people are like, "Oh, I don't understand why you meditate," you have people that do understand.
Oh, I love it. Two more questions for you, Laura.
All right.
Number one, is Vedic meditation for everyone, beginners and advanced, or is there a prime group? What do you recommend?
It is for anyone. It is for anyone. I had dabbled in Buddhist meditation and many other practices before I came to this. I've had people who have never tried meditation before. I've had people who have tried other types of meditation and they haven't worked for them, right? This is a very accessible practice. I think that it is for everyone, but it's not going to appeal to everyone, right? And that's
Yeah,
okay. I think a person who is ready is a person who wants to feel less stressed. They want to feel like they're more present for their life. They want to get more out of their day and really feel like, they're not being run by, their to-do list, right? That's the person who's like, I want life to feel different.
yeah.
That's a person who I would say, you should check out this practice because it's really very simple. It's deceptively simple. And you end up really with a lot of benefit in terms of, releasing stress, better sleep, being able to just participate in life in a way that you're more effective,
I
right?
love it.
You're more present.
I love it. Final question. How can people find you, Laura?
So I have a website. It's Meditate with Lora, and Laura is spelled Lora. I'm not one of the LAURAs. I'm a LORA. Meditatewithlaura.com. And I'm also on Instagram. It's meditate.with.laura. And you can find me there as well. And, anytime anyone's interested, they can just drop me a message either through my website or they can find me on Instagram and, send me a DM and I'm there. And I love talking shop about meditation.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it, love it. Thank you so very much for everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and put Laura's information in the comment section and in the description of this podcast so that you can go ahead and access and discover if Vedic meditation is right for you. Talk to everyone soon.
Thank you.